As many of you know, there is a lot of build diversity in today's division. With the stamina build of Predator, with a mixture of stamina and a bit of a Hexo build with Striker, with Nomad running either into full firearms or full electronics, build diversity has never been better. But having played quite a few hours of both PvP and PvE, one thing I have come to realize is a good Reclaimer build is, well, good. You kind of need to have one in today's gameplay. Now, if you want to run solo, chances are you're probably going to run Nomad or potentially Striker. If you're going to go solo manhunt in the Dark Zone, you better be running Nomad, because with the bleed and Striker stacks, you are going to get dropped multiple times. And hopefully you get the Nomad luck proc, where it keeps you up and keeps you going. But we're here today to talk about the Reclaimer build. Now, the Reclaimer build can be used in many different capacities, but in regards to Skirmish and the Dark Zone, Skirmish and Last Stand, there are a couple ways to build this particular gear set. In case you don't really know, quickly, Reclaimer gives you a set bonus of 30% station range, 50% support station duration. Set bonus 4, support station gains the benefit of life support, immunizer, and ammo cache mods all at the same time. Set 5 is an additional 50% range and 25% duration. And then set bonus 6, 50% support station health and 100% support station healing. So support station also gains 40% chance to have no cooldown triggered when it is destroyed by an enemy. This chance is increased by 20% for every 3,000 electronics. So before in patch 1.7, if you ran 10,000 electronics, you had a very high chance of it coming back right away. Now, what this is saying is you have a 40% chance with 0 electronics, but if you have 3,000, 6,000, or 9,000 electronics, it incrementally goes up by 20%, capping out at 9,000 to give you an instant no cooldown, 0 cooldown for your box, meaning it should be up all of the time. Now, in Skirmish and Last Stand, because of normalization, you actually have to run about 9,800 to 9,900 electronics, because it brings the electronics down to less than 9,000 if you're at the 9,000 cap. Probably confusing you with this, but basically understand this. As you see this build right here, in terms of firearms, stamina, and electronics, this is a pretty good build for a Reclaimer. The idea is you don't need to be spec'd 100% into electronics. Sure, I could go and get over 10,000 electronics, but it's not really doing anything for me. The noticeable difference from 9,000 to 10,000 in terms of healing speed, it just isn't worth having that much electronics. I prefer to spec a little bit into firearms and give my weapons deadly and accurate on the house, have them unlocked. As well as my NP7, I have deadly, competent, and responsive. Responsive you can only unlock in the bottom talent. In the bottom slot. So, to talk about the weapons real quick, as a Reclaimer, you are not putting out damage. There's no point in trying to spec anything for damage. The only reason why I've elected to get to close to 4,000 firearms is simply for the fact that if I'm fighting, which we always are, I'm able to at least put out a little bit of damage. Meaning, if they're focused, if an enemy is focused on another player, the bullets I'm hitting them with, the talents at least that I'm using, they're unlocked. Okay? So, weapon damage is significant for this. build in terms of how I have it set up, but know that you are not just going in there to do damage. Your role is to stay back a little bit and keep your teammates up and let them do damage. To quickly go over the build, I've got the vest rolled to electronics. Skill haste to me is huge. Now you're going to say, well, the box you should get instantly. You're 100% right. But you get skill haste very quickly. If you can stack your skill haste and get it back very quickly, you can be shooting heals or a pulse or anything else that you choose to use that's going to be beneficial to your team and get it back that much quicker. Just to let you know, this has not been optimized. I need to go and optimize it, but that being said, the build itself is pretty solid. So I've also rolled health, which is important. And the bottom slot with this particular chest piece, I would rather have potentially ammo capacity or something else. You don't necessarily need ammo capacity because if you stand in the box and reload, you're not going to burn through your ammo. My mask has skill power. It's rolled to electronics, and again, I'd rather have something like shock or burn, but if you stay in the box, you do have the immunity. The reclaimer knee pads rolled again to electronics with skill power, bleed, burn, and I would love to have shock, but again, I'm unable to do that. Rolled to electronics once again with skill power and ammo capacity. Rather have burn in the bottom slot. So these gloves are not optimized. I had to use the I had crit damage, but I actually changed it to skill haste. Preferably would like to have SMG damage instead of shotgun damage, as I'm not rolling with shotgun damage, but I don't have another set of reclaimer gloves here, so I'm unable to change that. And finally, the holster. Again, if you look at it, it's definitely not optimized. Skill haste being the major. But you want to focus on obviously having electronics. Now, all my mods are skill haste mods, rolled firearms. Just so you can see. And then I have support station range mods, I believe on all of them. Yeah. And I think you can get 7.5% now, so it would actually give me 2.5% more. And I, clearly need another better mod for this. So, the difference with healing speed versus support station range, when we're fighting a bunch of people, I'd rather have my box fully extended to the max that it can go than the healing speed. Number one, I probably have 1 or 2 strikers with me, the guys that I run with, so they're getting their heals back. I'm also, for the most part, running a defib or a booster shot, and even sometimes I'll run an overdose to give them an overheal. Depends on who I'm playing with and the situation that we're rolling through, but for me, I'd rather have the box bigger than smaller. My sidearm, nothing's unlocked. I've got deadly responsive, but I've actually got a sidearm on another character that I would prefer to have predatory on. Looking at my skills, the defib and your box are obviously the two you want to run. If you look at what the ally heal does, it's 274,000 plus. Excuse me. Plus, if a guy goes down, I can res him without having to worry about it. If you look at the cooldown, it's 18.6 seconds, 22.7 for the overdose, and 20.6 for the booster shot. If you look at the ally heal, it's 164 for the booster shot, 154 for the overdose, and this is 274 for ally. Don't need to necessarily be worried about my heal because I'm going to be in my box. So the range or the defibrillator for me, because you're running a support build, is what is needed for this particular build. Now the box, the healing rate is 25,000 heals per second. It's pretty good. The range, 12.94 meters. It puts out a really good circle. And the lifetime is 137 seconds, 60 seconds in a minute, so it's basically just over 2.5 minutes. My health, I would like to get, like, that would be nice to get a little bit more, like 400,000, but really not horrible. If for some reason I don't proc the cooldown where I get it back instantly, it's 14 seconds to get it back. So for me, the skill haste again is extremely important. The talents I'm running in a group are critical save, combat medic. If you're running a group, you are doing a disservice to your group if you do not run combat medic. No matter what you run, pick any other talents, you have to run combat medic. As someone who's staying back and not necessarily in the fight, Death by Proxy is a very underrated talent that I think you're going to see a lot more skill build guys running. It reads destroy a hostile's deployed skill meaning a box, I believe it meaning a shield, seeker mines, turret, all of these things you see, right? If you destroy it, it increases your skill power by 20% for 30 seconds. That's pretty good. So, and then precision, instead of running a pulse, because I'm staying a little bit back and not face tanking, if I can hit one of the enemies with a headshot, they get pulsed for 10 seconds. And I'm not sure how the pulse scales, but for example, if it was scaling, like I would have this pulse here, and let's just use the base actually. The crit chance and crit damage is 35% for the pulse. So another thing you can run is if you have another reclaimer or another skill build that's running any kind of heal, you could also run a pulse with this. 35% is significant. You get it back in 15 seconds. And even the concealed pulse, 20 seconds with 30% is still extremely, extremely well. So, something to think about. So, the other thing you also want to run is your recovery link. Again, you're a healer. You're here to bring people up. If somebody else in the group is not a healer or is running something else, they can either run a survivor link or a tactical link. So that's basically it. It's a very simple, easy build to put together. 9,000 electronics is what you have to hit. Put the rest in the firearms. Roll health on your chest, and you could swap the skill power for health. I also have skill power on the knee pads. You can swap that for health, but quite honestly, being in your box with it healing you very quickly allows you to stay up, and then monitoring what your teammates are doing. As long as you guys are within that box and together, you can pretty much keep your teammates up very quickly. So I know there's a lot of build videos out there for Predator and Nomad, Striker. I haven't seen too many for Reclaimer, and quite honestly, I really like this build in terms of keeping my guys up. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, if you think I can improve this build, I would love to hear it in the comments. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.